Hello and welcome back to the Golden Newsletter, here from the floor of the World Symposium in Boca Raton. My name is Kai Hoffmann. I'm the @JR Mining guy on Twitter, CEO of the Soar Financial Group, and of course, together with Brien Lundin, the host of this channel. Really looking forward to this company introduction. I'm joined by Dev Randhawa. He's the president, CEO, chairman, founder over at F3 Uranium.
Yeah.
And really looking forward to chatting with you, Dev, for the first time on the channel.
Thank you. I am the CEO and chairman. Ray Ashley is our brilliant technical guy. It's just a pleasure to be here. You have to know that my relationship with Rick goes back to 1996, when he was one of the first guys to write a check for me, a nobody, and I want to go in uranium, and there was nobody there was chemical, that's it. And then Lucas was starting his IUC, and I was starting. So I'm grateful, it's full circle to come back and support Rick, and obviously Brien over the years. Have enjoyed your conference very much.
No, fantastic. No, I appreciate that. Let's start with let's scene setting. Let's talk macro for a minute. Let's talk about the uranium market. How's the uranium market doing? The price is hanging in around $80. Like it's rallied, but it's come down. Run us a bit through like the latest fundamental news in the uranium space real quick.
Yeah, it ran up about 106, and it's been come back. That's typical this time of the year. September is when more contracting is done for the year. So it's a bit seasonal, but it's a good opportunity for investors. Well, it's a perfect storm. It's the first time I've been in the business since 1996 where the left side of the aisle and the right side both see the need for clean energy and nuclear power. And so if you look at the right needs, let's make sure we got our own power, and Russia can't influence us, okay? That's their thing, security of energy. On the left, they're going, we need clean energy if we're gonna meet our 2050 net zero goals. That's what's politically favorable. And then you've got electric cars, everybody recommend EV cars, AI. I mean, you've got Amazon talking about setting up their own nuclear plant, small modular plant, because they need so much energy. So we have all these wonderful ideas to go to, AI and EV vehicles. Well, where's electricity going to come from? And people have learned, finally, the myth of renewables is finally what I knew in 1996. People are finally figuring out is it doesn't work because man doesn't control how much the wind blows and how much the sun shines. So that's why those have been debacles financially. People have finally got their head on straight. Every country, Japan, France, everybody's saying we got to have more nuclear. Even Switzerland is changing their laws because they realize simple thing, demand for energy.
There's been news coming out of Niger. Not positive news.
No,
not positive. All right. What kind of impact do you forecast from that?
I hope that investors see the problems of political being in a place where they can literally take away your project and give you nothing. So on the opposite side, we saw Paladin middle of acquiring FCU. Where are they? The basin, right? The Athabasca Basin has got the highest grades in the world by 10, 20 times. More importantly, it has uranium production for the last 60, 70 years. So you can't say not my backyard. So that just shows you the problem with going into foreign countries. And you take out Global Atomic, higher grade project, but we're still many times better grades, even Global Atomic, than we've got. Well, we've got some pretty good grades. So I just explain, what I've always believed, that if I could be in Kazakhstan, absolutely, they can produce for $10, $15 US cash costs. But the Athabasca is more like 20, 25, but we need 60 all in to make a profit. So Athabasca is the only place out in the free world. Okay, in the free world, Athabasca is the #1 place, and you've seen what happens if you're in Niger. Paladin just made a bid for $1.1 billion of a company I helped start back in 2013.
Niger, I think, is an interesting point. I want to come back to that real quick, because I think Russia is really asking for those permits now and really coming in. The question is now, is that enough to sort of qualify or classify uranium as a critical mineral from the US, maybe even Canadian side?
Well, I think they have seen it, and it's definitely in the US side. Definitely, they're saying look, we're going to shut out Russia the best we can. There's a bit of a waiver time in there. Utilities can, get it together. But absolutely, I think it is it's because energy is critical. So if you want energy and you want clean energy, you're talking nuclear power.
All right, perfect. I think good macro overview. We'll come September, maybe we'll see new contracts, new contract highs, and new pricing in uranium. But let's talk F3 Uranium.
Sure.
Run us a bit through the company's story. Give us quick cliff notes, 30, 60 seconds, and then we'll dive into some of the nitty gritty here.
In real estate, it's all about location, location, location. And junior exploration company is people, people, people. Nobody's made 2 discoveries yet in the basin. We're on our 3rd. We made the J Zone. We developed that, sold to Lucas Lundin's Denison, spun out the non-core assets, became FCU, which is up for sale for $1.1 billion. Took the non-core assets and started F3. So we've got a team that's made 3 major discoveries. Nobody has done that in the history of uranium mining. So our strength is our people. We're in the Athabasca, which I believe is the only place to be in the free world. Okay, and thirdly, we're well financed. We've got about 35 million, including 15 million came from a debenture from Denison. They went into our data room and said, "Okay, let's do a debenture." We said, "Fantastic." They got about 6% of the company. So we're very fortunate to have good people in the right jurisdiction and with lots of cash in the bank, because exploration is risky.
Don't we know it? Don't we know it? On the Denison investment, 50 million debenture. Run us a bit through the terms. Did they ask for anything? Any offtakes or anything?
No offtakes, nothing. Just a 9% financial piece. We got 5.5, 6 almost in the bank, so we're only paying 3%. But it just shows you that here's a company that's doing it right. David Cates has done a phenomenal job getting them into ISR and moving that business plan along. It's a multi-billion-dollar company, and backed by the Lundin family. So we see that as another third party. Yes, they're doing it right. That's the way I see it.
As a non-cash flow producing company, why'd you do a debenture, not just straight up equity?
Well, I think that they gave us a big premium. Remember, you get a premium to it, right? So that's good.
On the conversion price.
Yeah,
okay.
And it's at a higher price. Number 2, you can pay them with stock. You don't have to pay all cash. So it's not as costly as you think.
Okay, no, sounds good. Okay, that's why I was asking. But let's dive into the project, the PLN project. What's the history of the project? Run us a bit, what kind of work have you done on it so far?
Yeah, well, like I said, I want to point out, we were a company called Strathmore, okay? We took the Canadian assets, became, let's call it F1, okay? Discover the J Zone, sell it. FCU, being sold. And so this is the non-core assets that belong to FCU. And now we've got what we discovered as a JR zone. Some people think we've got 20 to 25 million pounds in there, but we need to grow that to 50 to be considered a mine. So the pressure's on us to find another pot of uranium in that section. We've had it for a few years, and we have probably spent close to 20 million on it in the last while. But it's a big project. It's got all uranium comes through a conductor, but not all conductors have uranium in them, right? So we're testing various conductors along them, some of the cross faults, that go through the property. So we're doing lots of testing. We're drilling all the time. Like, we don't take breaks. Because we don't have to, because we're on land right now. If we find something in the water, we'll have to wait till the winter.
Gotcha. Run me a bit through the exploration program. Or actually, sorry, before we get to that, how many meters have you drilled? Like you said, you already have a resource on it. When was that last updated, and how much went into
We
that?
haven't done a resource because we just made the discovery.
You meant to mention 10 million pounds, sorry.
I just said somebody, we're not, under the BRIEX, we're no longer to say anything unless third party says it. I'm just saying what analysts guessing at right now.
Gotcha, okay.
We're trying to do about between 50 to 100 holes this year. They vary. And the key is you drill. If you don't hit high grade, you analyze the chemistry and everything else, then you drill again. So we're mostly along the A1 conductor and the B1 conductor. And down there was a really odd reverse thrust that you see at over MacArthur. It's not like this; it just butts in. So we've been dealing with where to deal with that. Where is the uranium? We're getting lots of boron. We're getting we have a box in our presentations. If you tick all these boxes, then you drill more. Well, we've ticked all the boxes, but we haven't hit the second pod yet. That's on us.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so what are you targeting now? 50, 100 meters? Is that the follow-up now? Like, what's sort of timeline for that? And of course, what's the next key milestone?
We're drilling every day.
Yeah. We're
drilling every day. We're going to drill right to Christmas. Give them a couple of weeks off of Christmas.
Nice of you.
Yeah. Otherwise, you sound like Scrooge. But it's amazing. Our stock will go down every time we stop drilling, even for 2 weeks. That's how the market is. Money is so momentum driven, right, in the stock market. But no, we've got lots of drilling left all through the year.
What's sort of your release schedule? Like when you drill like 50, 100 holes, like you batch them?
No, right away. So what happens is, if you get high grade, you will know. And then you announce that. Otherwise, you batch them out in 10 to 20 holes.
Gotcha. Okay. So what's the next key milestone you want to achieve? Like after that 50, 100 meter programs, like are you going to update or are you going to put a resource out?
Next year, most likely. We need a bit more data to put out. But we're doing that right now. We're drilling like we want to do a resource. So we're not just infilling, but we're testing the outsides and make sure we got the whole thing in one spot.
Just curious, like I don't want to get too technical, but what is the spacing that you need for an initial resource?
Typically in the basin, you need 10 to 15 meters max. Uranium...
It's fairly tight, isn't it?
Oh, it has to.
Yeah.
Because you can literally miss it, right? If you have, a copper porphyry, you can go over 50 meters, right? Well, you can't with uranium because, our first discovery on the Triple R, we put a hole down and we missed it by 5 meters. 5 meters. Next time we moved over 10, bang, we hit. Then we knew we had something. So it's very, uranium in the basin is very deep. And you lots of good that's why we're run by geophysicists, because it's a blind box you're drilling into. And so they're the ones that really pick. Uranium in the Athabasca is very hard to find. That's why I caution investors to throw money behind everybody that's got land there. Oh, they look cheap. Have they found any uranium before? That's the question to ask. What's the track? Like Rick Rule always says, what's the track record? We've been serially successful. The first company, Energy, if you bought a share of Strathmore in 2007 even, you look in your account today, you've got a share of Energy Fuels, some shares of Denison, shares of SCU, F3, and now F4 we're spinning out.
No. That was my next question. It was F4, about F4, the spin out. Like, what's the plan there? What kind of assets will you be spinning out?
We're basically everything around the PLN, we're going to leave in F3. We consider non-core outside and the rest of the basin to be F4. We're bringing another individual to run that, raise the money, go out and do these things. Because those projects deserve attention. And in them, we're coming out with a strong joint venture, like with a group called Camp. They have to spend $18 million to get to 70%. So, and the market cap of the stock will be very low when it comes out. So we've already got a joint venture worth a lot of money.
I was going to ask you, what kind of value do you ascribe to the spin out? Because you're spinning out, 10 to 1, I think?
We're rolling it back 10 for 1. And so you get one share of each, and you roll back 10 for 1, and then we'll do a funding.
Gotcha. Okay. Timeline on the spin out?
We're hoping to get the last bit of TSX audits and everything done over the next 90 days.
No, fantastic. I think Dev, we covered a lot of ground. I think we got to talk next catalysts.
Yes.
Next drill results, news, like always greedy as retail investors.
Well, outside of our control is the commodity price, right? No. That's number one. September's coming. That's not that far away. What we control, hit another big zone. We hit another big zone, the stock will be back up 50%. Like if you look at Canalaska, there were 40 cents. They drilled, hit, high grade. Even though it's 800 meters down, the stock went up 50%. No. By the way, JR zone is 200 meters roughly, and 2.5% average grade. You don't get that anywhere in the world except the Athabasca.
No, fantastic. Awesome. Dev, it was a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us here in our little podcast studio here on the floor of the World Symposium. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
And everybody else, thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't done so, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Leave a comment, of course, and a like if you enjoyed the conversation. It is much appreciated. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back with lots more here from the World Symposium.